Once upon a time, in a small, idyllic town nestled between rolling hills and lush meadows, there lived a young girl named Lily. She was known for her gentle nature, her love for nature, and her delicate beauty. Everywhere she went, she left a trail of laughter and joy in her wake. One day, as Lily was wandering through the woods, she stumbled upon a meadow filled with the most beautiful daisies she had ever seen. The flowers swayed in the breeze, their snowy petals shimmering in the sunlight. It was as if the entire field was alive with the song of the daisies, a symphony that called out to her, beckoning her to come closer. Lily marveled at the sight, captivated by the sheer beauty of the flowers. She plucked a daisy from the ground and held it to her nose, inhaling its sweet, intoxicating scent. As she gazed at the delicate petals, an unshakable feeling of unease settled over her. It was as if the daisy held a secret, something dark and foreboding that lingered just beneath its surface. That night, as Lily lay in bed, a sense of restlessness washed over her. She tossed and turned, unable to shake the feeling of dread that seemed to consume her. It was as if the daisies had whispered something to her, something that stirred a deep, primal fear within her heart. As she drifted into fitful sleep, the nightmares began. In her dreams, she found herself standing in the midst of the daisy field once more. But the once beautiful flowers had withered and turned black, their twisted, gnarled stems reaching out to ensnare her in their bony fingers. A haunting, otherworldly voice seemed to fill the air, a sinister melody that sent chills down her spine. It beckoned to her with an insidious allure, a relentless force that seemed to consume her very soul. She stumbled through the twisted, nightmarish field, her heart racing with an unyielding sense of terror. As she ventured deeper into the darkness, the voice continued to call out to her, its chilling whispers filling the air. It was as if the daisies themselves had turned against her, their once gentle beauty now transformed into something monstrous and unyielding. They seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, their twisted forms reaching out with an insatiable yearning. Lily awoke with a start, her heart pounding in her chest, and she found herself drenched in a cold sweat. The presence of the nightmare lingered around her, suffocating and unyielding. She struggled to dismiss it as nothing more than a figment of her imagination, but the feeling of dread refused to leave her. The following day, Lily ventured back into the woods, her heart heavy with an unshakable sense of unease. She returned to the field of daisies, but this time, the once beautiful flowers seemed to exude an eerie, unsettling energy. Their snowy petals had turned an inky black, and their twisted forms seemed to pulse with a malevolent power that sent shivers down her spine. She reached out to touch one of the daisies, her fingers trembling with a raw, unadulterated fear. As her skin made contact with the twisted, gnarled stem, the air seemed to warp and twist around her, and the haunting, otherworldly voice filled her ears once more. "Release us from the darkness," it whispered, its words a haunting, ethereal melody that seemed to seep into the very fabric of her being. Lily stumbled back, her heart pounding in her chest, and the sense of foreboding that had plagued her grew with every passing moment. The daisies seemed to beckon to her with an insidious allure, their malevolent forms reaching out with an insatiable yearning. It was as if they were alive with an unyielding hunger, a relentless force that seemed to consume her very essence. In a surge of fear, Lily tore herself away from the twisted, nightmarish field and fled through the oppressive darkness. The air was thick with the haunting, otherworldly energy that seemed to sear her very soul, suffocating and unyielding. She knew that it was no mere nightmare. It was a sinister, inescapable force that had seeped into the very fabric of her reality. The presence of the daisies seemed to linger around her, their malevolent, haunting power consuming her with an inescapable grip. She tried to shake the feeling of foreboding, but the sense of terror seemed to grow with every passing day. As days turned into weeks, Lily found herself consumed by the presence of the daisies. Their malevolent energy seemed to seep into every corner of her world, filling the air with an oppressive, unyielding force. Their haunting, otherworldly whispers echoed through the empty, silent woods, their insidious allure calling out to her with an unshakable hunger. One night, as Lily lay in bed, the haunting, otherworldly voice seemed to fill the air once more. It beckoned to her with an insidious allure, a relentless force that seemed to consume her very soul. The air was thick with an unyielding sense of dread, suffocating and heavy, and then, with a surge of raw, unadulterated fear, Lily awoke from her fitful sleep, her heart racing and her body slick with a cold sweat. The presence of the daisies seemed to linger around her, their haunting, malevolent energy enveloping her with a suffocating grip. She stumbled through the oppressive darkness, her mind reeling with an unyielding sense of terror that consumed her very being. It was as if the daisies themselves had turned against her, their once gentle, beautiful nature now transformed into something monstrous and unyielding. As she ventured through the empty, silent woods, the haunting, otherworldly voice seemed to grow louder with every passing step. It called out to her with an insatiable hunger, its chilling whispers enveloping her with an unshakable grip. With a surge of desperation, Lily fled deeper into the heart of the woods, her heart pounding in her chest. The air was thick with an unyielding sense of dread, and she knew that there was no escape from the haunting, otherworldly force that had seeped into her very being. The daisies seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, their twisted forms reaching out with an unyielding yearning. It was as if they were alive with an insatiable hunger, a relentless force that seemed to consume her very essence. And then, with a gut-wrenching moan, the daisies materialized before her, their malevolent, twisted forms looming closer with a haunting, ethereal presence. Lily stumbled back, her breath coming in ragged, frantic gasps, and the air was thick with an unyielding, suffocating sense of terror. She knew that there was no escape from the haunting, otherworldly force that had become a relentless presence within her reality. The daisies loomed closer, their presence an unsettling reminder of the nightmares that had plagued Lily for so long. Their insidious allure seemed to consume her with an unyielding grip, their haunting, malevolent energy enveloping her with an inescapable force. She struggled to find a sense of peace, but the feeling of dread seemed to grow with every passing moment. And then, with a bone-chilling moan, the daisies reached out with gnarled, claw-like fingers, their touch suffocating and heavy. Lily's heart raced with an unyielding sense of terror, the presence of the otherworldly entity enveloping her with a suffocating grip. She stumbled back, her eyes wide with fear, as the daisies closed in with an insatiable yearning that seemed to consume her very essence. In a surge of desperation, Lily fled through the oppressive darkness, her breath coming in ragged, frantic gasps. The daisies loomed closer with their haunting, otherworldly power, their presence an unsettling reminder of the nightmares that had plagued her for so long. The air was thick, with an unshakable sense of dread, and Lily knew that there was no escape from the haunting, otherworldly force that had become an inescapable presence within her reality. As she raced through the empty, silent woods, she heard the haunting, otherworldly voice echoing through the darkness. Its chilling whispers enveloped her with a suffocating grip, and she knew that the daisies would consume her with an unyielding force. And then, with a gut-wrenching moan, Lily awoke with a start, her heart racing and her body slick with a cold sweat. The presence of the daisies in the nightmare seemed to linger around her, suffocating and unyielding. She knew that there was no escaping the haunting, otherworldly force that had seeped into every corner of her world. The following morning, as Lily wandered through the woods, her mind reeled with the unyielding sense of unease that seemed to fill the air. She stumbled upon the field of daisies once more, their once gentle beauty now transformed into something monstrous and unyielding. As she reached out to touch one of the twisted, gnarled stems, the air seemed to warp and twist around her, and the haunting, otherworldly voice filled her ears once more. It seemed to call out to her with an insidious allure, a relentless force that seemed to consume her very soul, and then, with a surge of raw, unadulterated fear, Lily stumbled through the nightmarish field, the presence of the daisies enveloping her with an unyielding grip. The air was thick with an oppressive, unyielding force, their malevolent, haunting energy suffocating and heavy. It was then that she realized the daisies were no mere flowers. They were something dark and sinister, a force that defied the very fabric of reality. Their haunting, otherworldly presence seemed to seep into every corner of her world, and she knew that the unyielding grip of terror was something that she would never be able to escape.